Hello and welcome to the Heart of Leadership with yours truly, Margaret Burkle. And with me today is Jen Earl, the CEO of the National Association of Women Business Owners, where she works collaboratively with the National Board of Directors to implement the vision and ensure an ever vibrant organization. I've never heard the word ever vibrant, but I love it and I'm stealing it. She joined NAWBO in 2008, bringing with her extensive background as a woman business owner in commercial music production and virtual operational support. At NAWBO, Jen has reactivated the organization's 501c3, the NAWBO Institute, and successfully navigated NAWBO and its members through an unprecedented pandemic. Jen also serves as Executive Director of the NAWBO Institute and is an advisory member for Enterprising Women magazine, council member for the National Women's Business Council, and a member of the Special Task Force for the FCM, the World Association of Women Entrepreneurs Steering Committee. That is a mouthful. So given everything that she does, she's also known for prioritizing work-life balance, meditating, journaling, taking care of herself, which is where people-centered, compassionate people-centered leadership starts, and often walks her child to school, which is a great calm time to connect and continue building strong parent-child bonds. Jen, there's so much to tell about you that I think I'm just going to start with questions and get you on the floor. So welcome. And thank you so much for joining us in a conversation about people-centered leadership.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Good. So I'm just going to jump in with a big question here, as I always do. What does people-centered leadership mean to you?
People-centric leadership for me is equivalent to servant leadership, serving from behind, empowering your people, making sure that you're invested in each individual as much as how they're performing at work, as much as they're performing at home and how they're doing, balancing all the things. I think that people that show up with service in mind are able to make a really big impact. And it's important for me in my leadership journey, as well as inspiring those on my team to make sure that we're serving those that we're coming into contact with every day and making sure that we're putting them first. So that's what it means to me.
Awesome. I love it. Serving people from behind, and also then cascading that philosophy right throughout the organization. When and how did this become a priority in your life? Was it sort of a pivotal point where it's like, yeah, no more boss, more servant leader?
I feel like I've always sort of had that in me. I went to Notre Dame for college, and in that, my most favorite class was the theology of social service. And that's where I learned my connection to the universe in general, and also to the importance of how I can find myself and my spirit and my purpose in working with others. So I worked at a shelter for abuse and runaway teens to put myself through college, and it was really impactful, just the impact that they had on my life, and then how I really resonated with living through purpose and helping others in need, and helping others in whatever capacity that looked like, whether, they were doing really great and we were celebrating joy, or they were having a really hard time and just being really present. I think I learned at that point when I was really young that I knew that my life needed to be centered around the people that share the planet with me, and how I do that every day and how I learn every day to do that better.
Wow, that is amazing. So when you stepped into the leadership of NAWBO, how did you bring it front and center to the organization's culture?
First started with the organization, we were sort of at a I don't know how to best say it. We had an outsourced management company. We were trying to bring that all internal. And we had a number of chapters around the country that were really working autonomously, and there wasn't a lot of connection between the work that we were doing at the national level and at the chapter level. So there was really a big guide and figuring out how to bring that center. I think for me, because it was really purposeful work, and it was really intentional about supporting the women entrepreneur community. And as a woman entrepreneur, I understood the needs and the solitude and the isolation of all of that. It added a level, as I said, of purpose for me. And so as I started building my team, it was really important to me to bring the same type of individual on. I think that so many skills are trainable, but having someone come to show up in a service from your heart is a really true gift. And so I was just really grateful to have the opportunity to find the right people to come along with me and to serve from the heart as we're working through the different challenges that come to pass in a membership association.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What were your biggest challenges?
Oh, goodness. I think some of them were, the chapters, as I mentioned, they weren't really connected at the national level. So I think it was trying to change the culture, and trying to change the culture of an organization that had been around for a really long time was really trying. I didn't do anything on my own, though. I always had an amazing team of, board members and volunteers that were all dedicated to the same mission of really helping propel each other forward. So that was really lucky. I think as we continued to do that, we had different things like the pandemic come and, figuring out how we were going to navigate this, how we were going to help women who were on the verge of losing everything, how we were going to keep spirits high, how we were going to help keep people motivated and connected. I think that was a really big challenge too. We had to flip on a dime from doing in-person events and having our chapters do in-person events to switching everything to be in a virtual space where we were still able to provide that connectivity. And so I think that was a really big challenge. And I think with anything, obviously, anytime there's any economic downturn or fluctuation, it's always really difficult because, our members are out there doing the very best they can in their businesses. And when things come up that are unexpected, it's an interesting challenge to figure out, like, how are we going to solve this? How are we going to get through this? And how are we going to build the organization to do that better?
Mhm.
I would also say, as a bipartisan organization, it's very tricky to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all of our members, because half of them have very strong beliefs one way and very strong beliefs the other. And so it's really important to figure out how we can all come together because we're all on the same team. So,
Yeah, because it's like we live in such a polarized world where the pendulum is swinging either extremely this way or that way. And so to have run a member-based organization in this environment takes a very special people type skill to do that.
and I'm really grateful that I have, like, the board of directors that I have that have been just so thoughtful and engaging and supportive, and my team as well. We're all out to do the best we can for the greater good. And so I feel like that support has just been insurmountable. I think our board would say they also are servant leaders as well. So it helps coming from a people-centric environment to be able to lead in a people-centric way.
Well, that's a blessing that your whole board is people-centric as well. That's quite rare to
I
have.
think so, but it's part of the culture. Like when the nominating committee goes through, it's part of, like, they really do their due diligence to make sure that the individuals coming through are have a servant philosophy, a servant leader philosophy. So it's really important part of the culture of the association.
So you recruit your staff and your board based on the same criteria so that there's cultural alignment right through. That is really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
So if you had to start on this journey again, what would you do differently?
It's such a great question because I often think about this. I was just talking with my son the other night about this. I don't know if I would do anything different. I feel like every lesson that I learned along the way put me to where I am today. There are things that I wish the outcomes had been different, but it doesn't mean that I didn't learn a really important and significant lesson because the outcome came out the way that it did. So I'm just really, really, I feel really fortunate and really grateful that I've had the opportunities in my life that I have. And really, again, grateful that I have the opportunity to serve in this capacity, again, to do my part to make the world better. I just feel like I'm just really lucky to have this opportunity.
Oh, that's awesome. So, having access to the whole entire globe's female entrepreneurs in many organizations and platforms, what are the trends in leadership cultures and styles that you are seeing at the moment?
Um, Very collaborative with the International Association of CEM, which NAWBO is a member. That association has each country that has one seat at the table. And so NAWBO has a seat at the table within this association. They bring the countries together twice a year. We were just in Australia at the end of October. The beautiful thing about this is that we kind of pull together what is the common thread that we're all facing. A lot of us have very different political climates in our countries. We have very different economic climates in our countries. And the one thing that we are all brought together on is more about the circular economy and the importance of the planet and all of that. So coming together and figuring out ways that we can work together, ways that we can cross barriers easier. It's very collaborative and very beautiful. I always feel whenever I come back from one of those trips, very inspired. We are starting to bring more of our NAWBO members with us on these adventures, and they're starting to experience what it feels like to be a part of a global community and see how these women are so dedicated to making a difference in their world. The theme of this association is alone we are invisible, together we are invincible. And I really love that collaborative approach of what it's going to take for all of us to move the needle. So
together we are invincible. I love that. Yeah, it's like getting so well for us. It would be getting so many people together to move towards a human-centric and bring humanity back into organizations. And if we can get it right in mid-sized organizations, start moving to bigger ones where it's so easy to be just a number.
that's right. Yeah. I mean, that quote, like, be the change you want to see in the world, I think is so important. It's like, how can we all just do our part? And if we're all doing our part and we're all doing that in a very collaborative way, wow, can you imagine what that would look like? So I'm just really hopeful for the day when it feels more like, here, especially in the United States, that we feel really collaborative and we can all work really well and beautifully together. I'm really looking forward to that time.
Yeah, and to a space where everybody feels that they really truly matter, and
Mhm.
in every organization, whether that's where they work or where they just play or where they that would be a great power shift. So next question is for anybody that you come into contact with that is wishing to move to a more people-centered leadership approach in the organization, what advice would you give them?
I would say heart and intuition are really important. I would read books, and Brene Brown does a beautiful job at talking about being vulnerable, about listening. Listen first. I feel like oftentimes, when we have our team call, I'm always trying to hear, where are the struggles? Where do I hear the voice shake? Where do I see someone not showing up or not paying attention? What do they need? What does that look like? So I would say just being very aware and paying attention to those that are around you and seeing how you can connect with them on a level that's deeper than them just showing up for work every day. I think part of the pride I have in my team is that, none of us are planning on making millions of dollars and cashing out early, right? We work for a nonprofit organization. We do it because we love it. And making sure that everyone on the team is healthy, that they feel valued, that they feel like there's equal energy between what they bring and what the association brings back to them. It's more than just coming to a job. People don't quit jobs, they quit people. And so how do you show up in a way where people are going to want to continue to serve with you? I think that makes a really big difference. So I would say, listen, connect your heart, connect your emotions, connect your all the empathy, and pay attention to the people that are surrounding you.
Wow, there is so much wisdom in that, what you've just said. But I'm going to start with coming to work and noticing and paying attention to what's happening with the people around you, and being open to the people around you. So you've got to come to work as a leader then with a very clear, calm, collected demeanor or presence. How do you do it? As many you are busy.
Yeah, it's trying. And we talked about, like, you at the beginning when you opened, the importance of self-care, the importance of calming, walking every day, to be outside, touch with nature. read, the things that really keep us calm. Some days I do a really great job at it, and some days I don't. To be honest, this morning I was feeling a little bit irritable on my team call, and I was like, oh, shoot, I need to check myself. I need to say, what is it for me that's bringing me here in this space? And how am I not going to show up for my people in this space? And so, what is an honest, vulnerable way of, again, listening and showing up? So, I also, I think some of it is just self-awareness. So it's like doing the things that can keep me calm. I light candles. I listen to music. I try to stop my day so that I can cook dinner and reconnect with the things that bring me joy outside of my work. I start the day with, walking and intentional breathing and being thoughtful about like what I want the day to look like. And I am not always successful. Some days it's great, and some days I'm just not. And, I think it's also having patience with myself that not every day is going to be amazing. And that it's all a journey.
Yeah, because compassion for other people starts with compassion for yourself. And the more we understand our own humanity and how to balance ourselves, the more easier it is to understand the people around us. Yeah. So that is such a big wisdom. It's like, it's hard work to bring the best version of yourself to work every single day. It just is.
Yeah, it's literally impossible, I think. I mean, you can try with the very best intention of like, yeah, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do a great job. And it's like, oh, why am I being snarky? Like, where is this energy coming from? I need to like check myself because it's not serving me, and it's definitely not serving the people that are working with me. The other thing too, I want to mention about the leadership that I have with my team is that any one of us at any given time would take on the most menial of tasks. We're not in a structure of like, the top down, like we all work together. And it's like, if somebody needs help on whatever it is, checking an email box or figuring out this, this issue that's not someone's specific job, like everyone will jump in and do that. And I think that's part of my leadership philosophy is jumping in wherever I'm needed to support or to help or to work on or whatever that looks like, so that none of my people are feeling alone in it, that they're feeling like I'm giving them this task or they have this problem or this project that they're solely responsible for. It's like, if you're stuck there, give it to me. Let's work on this together. Or let me take it from you for a second so that you can have a minute. There's not any, directorial, you need to do this and this needs to be done by now. It's like, if you can't, then let's work on it together. So that's another approach that seems to work well with my team anyway.
Oh my goodness, I love that approach. I think it makes work so much more meaningful when you're not alone, and it just takes that very rigid top down. I'm not working outside my job description ever unless you pay me more or give me time off or reward me differently. It's sort of a very boxed in approach where this is so much more fluid, and we learn from each other and we support each other and walk alongside each other. And I mean, that's also true compassion, right? With right. Empathy plus action, and it brings people along a lot. Never feel lonely. It must be the most wonderful place to work.
I mean, you have to ask my team. I think most days they would say it's really great. But sometimes it's really hard, I mean, we're dealing with people, and sometimes people are hard, and they have different things that they're showing up with. And it's like having grace and working through that. Everybody's coming to us from a very different space and whatever's happening in their life at that moment, and being thoughtful about, okay, this is where we are. This is what we're dealing with at this moment. And what could be happening? What else could be true is another statement. Like, what else could be true in this story as to why someone is showing up the way that they are? And how can we show up in a place of grace and safety so that they're feeling like they're really being taken care of and that we do really care? So
I love that question. What else can be true? It is my favorite coaching question. When we check reality, it's like, it's point one. What else can be true?
What else? Yeah.
Well, that is really, really cool. What are you doing? I mean, you're doing a lot of self-care. You're taking care of being self-aware, bringing your best presence to work. What are you currently doing to grow and develop and stay inspired?
So right now I am reading 2 books simultaneously. One is called The Anxious Generation. And so I think one of the bigger things that I'm continuously thinking about is the next generation of young people. I mean, you mentioned that you've got youngsters. I do too. Mine are all in their early 20s now. And there seems to be an overwhelming sense of anxiety and depression, and like they're getting stuck. And so I'm trying to figure out more about that, because I feel like that's going to impact the future of work here for all of our business owners, for the next generation of women entrepreneurs that are coming up. There's going to be some sort of impact. So I'm trying to learn a lot about what that looks like and how we can, if we can get ahead of it. But if we can't, like, how do we create what the world is going to look like next for this next generation coming up? And then Brene Brown just released a new book, Atlas of the Heart. And it's all about the connectivity of humanity and connecting emotion. Did you read it? Have you read it yet? I just started, so I'm super excited. It's so beautiful too. It's like this big red hardback book. I love it. Yeah. So that I just got that one in the mail yesterday. So I'm starting to work through that one too. And always am reading about, just in the news, the different epidemics that are happening with alcohol and with drug use, and what that looks like for, in a space that I'm in. It's like we have to look at the country holistically, like what's coming up, what are the trends, what are we seeing, and then what are those, how is that going to impact caretaking, how is that going to impact caregiving for, like, are we going to have to start doing more caregiving for the younger generation, like, what does that look like? So I'm just trying to fill myself with as much knowledge as I possibly can, so that as we move forward with our advocacy initiatives and with our education, that we're providing the right tools and the right content for our business owners to thrive.
100%. I'm glad you mentioned the anxious generation. I have it on Audible, and I'm driving 5 hours this afternoon to go and facilitate, and we'll continue listening to it. It's so interesting and so insightful. I think, like, my children, who are parents of young people, need to listen to it as well. But it informs a lot about how Gen Z and Gen Alpha are going to show up in the workplace.
Yeah. And that's fascinating. I mean, they grew up in an era of technology, not of play, of true play. And I felt like that was a really striking, when I was reading about that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so true. Like, the imagination and the creativity that comes from playing is very different. They don't have that skill. So they're coming from a very different, isolated mentality. And as they're kind of progressing through life, it's very siloed. And so it's really fascinating how we break out of that, or how we meld to accommodate that, because I think that a lot of the next generation is in that silo. So working through what that looks like, and the increase of the anxiety and depression. The good news is we're talking about it. I mean, I think that, when I was growing up, I was really anxious as a child, but and I was emotional, and it was like, you're too sensitive, or why are you so upset? And it wasn't, it's now it's like the kids are able to say, well, I'm really anxious about, and label what they're feeling, and labeling their sadness or their anxiety or whatever that is. So I'm happy about that, but it makes me so sad that it feels like it's it's a lot in my my friends' children, and my nephews and my nieces and all of that. So it just makes me a little bit worried.
Yeah, and it kind of does make us wonder about what is the future of work going to look like, with people that are so used to being isolated. I mean, my 7-year-old daughters, who would sit very ladylike and very posh on the couch, and it's like, shh, Granny, I'm talking to my friend. And it's like, why is your friend not here?
Right.
Why are you not playing in the yard, getting messy and doing stupid stuff? And
it's different.
It's world. So different. And what will collaboration, cooperation, and all these things that we're infusing into the workplace now to make it more people-centered, what's going to become of that in about 10 years' time, when
it's a good question. And I think we need to be talking about that now and figuring that out now, so that at least we're prepared, And I feel like, the appetite is there to, like, kind of work through and figure that out. And I'm grateful for, individuals like yourself that are really trying to work toward bringing that out and putting that at the forefront, because it's really, really important.
Yeah. Well, I think, the future of work is probably worth another hour of discussion. We should probably, I would love to hop on that and maybe get a few people together to talk about that and see what we can figure out, or what we think it's going to
Yeah, that's fascinating. I was just reading an article the other day about AI and how AI is in the future, not too far future, will reduce the work week to like 3.5 days, which is fascinating. But then what is the toll of that, you know? And so I don't know. I feel like you're right. The future of work is a very important, next conversation about like, what does this look like and how do we get ahead of this?
Yeah. Yeah. How do we balance the surge of what AI can do, all the menial tasks, which I'm grateful for? I mean, Chad and I are best friends. But how's it going to shift the jobs that are that of the future? Who's going to be doing it? How's it and should it be affecting training?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. And there are some things AI can't do, you know, like the contracting skills or the skills of like plumbing and you know what I mean? Like there are some of those trades that like AI is not going to be able to fix. So we still need to make sure that we're covering all the bases with, you know, trade work and that kind of thing. So it's a fascinating time, I think, to be alive right now and to be in a space where we can help be a part of solutions. So
Yeah, for sure. So wrapping up here, thank you so much, Jen. This has been really, really insightful, and I kind of feel we continue this conversation for a long time still. What wisdom would you like to leave the audience with today?
I would say hold on to hope. I think that the more hopeful, positive energy we put out there, the more hopeful, positive energy we'll get back. So I would say that. I would say also, I don't know, together, like I said, we're invincible. And figuring out how to just see humans where they are and work together to make things better. I think that that's how things are going to change. So I would just say, let's do it together. I don't know. I feel like I should have some brilliant something to say, but I don't have anything brilliant to say. I would just say like, let's hold on to hope and let's have courage and be kind. I guess that was Cinderella's message. Have courage and be kind. So I'll say that.
Courage and be kind, and together we're invincible, and we're going to be walking away with those. Yes.
Oh, so funny.
All right. This is a wrap for the Heart of Leadership today. Thank you very much, Jen, for joining us. And we'll see you shortly after.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Have a lovely holiday season if I don't see you before.
Absolutely. Thank you too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.